everybody. Yes. We are reconvening the March 11th meeting of the City of Miami Commission. We have two non-agenda items left. One is PI 6, which Commissioner Carollo has brought regarding street closures, and the other is PI 1, which the administration has brought regarding an emergency rental program. So we're going to start with PI 6. Commissioner Carollo, about how much time do you think you need?
Less than 10 minutes, probably 5.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, it won't be long. Pictures.
But you have the floor, Commissioner, and as much time as you need.
They say that pictures speak 1,000 words, and I have 32 small ones and 3 big ones. So.
Just to clarify, I apologize. PI 1 was passed. PI 2 is the only remaining item in addition to your PI 6. And PI 2 is the City of Miami Administration Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So you have the floor, Commissioner Carollo.
Thank you.
PI 6.
I think we're all familiar with the situation that we were all surprised with from Miami Dade County recently. A situation having to do with our street closures. And the county did something that was unprecedented ever, not just in the city's history, but in the county's history. They brought the City of Miami to an emergency hearing before a court on a Sunday. City attorney received notice some less than 10 hours before. We were supposed to go to court on Sunday at 10 in the morning. The city had never received official notification. In other words, they did not receive the summons. But it was done because the county alleged that there was a safety emergency, that people's lives were at risk because we, the city, had closed 4 streets in a temporary basis. And the streets that we had closed were done at the extreme ends with some concrete barriers that were maybe 3.5 feet tall, 3 feet tall, by about 4 feet each or less. And we probably had at least 10 to 12 feet where all you had were the little skinny plastic cones where our emergency vehicles could go through and out. And I cannot believe that the county claimed that when, as you see here, this is only one city in our county that I found a minimum of 32 street closures. Now, I ask you, this to the county was not dangerous if ours were. These are permanent closures in Coral Gables, like that one, like this one, 32 of them that we found altogether. And by the way, these pretty ones like this, which I believe there's like 5 or 6 of them, they were recently done, maybe a year, no more than 2 years ago, from what I am told. There are many other cities that have closures. In fact, the City of Miami has street closures in Coconut Grove, in the northeast part of our city, in Coral Gate, right next door to the Gables. The difference between the street closures that we all voted for in January for the small area of Silver Bluff and these that you see here is that these were not closed because they had a terrible traffic problem. These were closed because they didn't want their neighbors across from these streets to come into the Gables through those streets. The reason we voted to close 4 streets in Silver Bluff is because years ago, the state with the county opened up 16th Avenue through residential areas to go into US 1 where there's a street light So what's happened as traffic has increased throughout the years, it's become a major thoroughfare going through a residential area in small residential streets where you have had hundreds of trucks, semi-trailers, vehicles, you name it, going through this small neighborhood in these small streets on a daily basis. As Commissioner Diaz-Liberty mentioned a few months back when we voted for this, he even got himself into an accident there. And there have been hundreds of tickets written, and people keep coming. We have put all kinds throughout the years of road bumps, of circles. Nothing stops people from coming. The neighbors cannot go out in the streets and enjoy the quality of life that they have a right to have. Several of them have expressed to me how some of their loved ones were almost run over by people speeding through there. I myself have seen it numerous times. So when they came to us with a petition is when this commission took action with the endorsement of our mayor to close those streets. And we closed them on a temporary basis as we believe we're allowed to by law, as our city attorney stated to us. These were not permanent closures. However, I'm bringing this to the forefront for the following reason. If the county had the nerve to treat us like if we were the little country of Andorra, without total disrespect, thinking that they were going to just roll over us and we would not be able to defend ourselves, I hope they understand that they were wrong. I hope they understand by their defeat in court that this is the city of Miami, the largest city in the state of Florida, a city of 500,000 people, that we're independent from them. And frankly, we don't need them for anything. We have the downtown of greater Miami-Dade, which is the city of Miami in our area. We have the financial center of greater Miami-Dade, which is inside the city of Miami. We have the main public hospital for greater Miami-Dade, which is inside the city of Miami limits. We have the Port of Miami, which is inside city limits. And we have a portion, small, of the airport that is within city limits. So I hope that this respect and the bulliness that they showed, they will understand that they can't do this to the city of Miami. And I wanted to show this so that our residents can see how hypocritical their statements, their actions have been. How can they come at us with just in the Gables? You have about 3 dozen street closures that, if our little one that was temporary, in the way that I describe it, was dangerous, then what can you call these here as far as danger? But the truth here is that this has happened, and from the mayor of Dade County to their chief operating officer, whatever he's called, Mr. Morales, to everyone that has had interaction in this, they all know that this has happened because the county commissioner in this area is upset with the city mayor, city commissioners, with the neighborhood association in that area, and many of its people, because we did not support her for county commission. And we have been targeted as a city. They're doing this to punish us, teach us a lesson, among other things that have happened already, and I've tried to ignore. But this one, we're right on. We're defending our residents. Granted, it's a small neighborhood, that it's not a rich neighborhood, and they don't have hundreds of votes or big pockets for contributions in an election. But nevertheless, this commission, this government did the right thing in coming out and protecting their quality of life. That's not to say that you have 100% consensus. Never in life do you have 100% consensus of practically anything. There's a few people in the area that for whatever reason, they're entitled to it, don't agree with us. But the vast majority of the residents in that area do agree with it. And I wanted to show what is happening to some of our other neighbors, how they've done it. And I'm not picking in Coral Gables today. They have a right to do this in their own streets. They just happen to have the first 32 that I saw, and there are many other cities with other closures throughout Miami-Dade County. Having said that, I've asked the city attorney to place a public records request on every city, all 33 other cities outside of Miami, for all the street closures, when they did them, and if they had county approval, among other things. And we're asking the county for the same thing, so that we could show the hypocrisy behind this, so that we could show that this is a personal vendetta from one of their commissioners. This is targeting from one of their commissioners against the city of Miami, and one neighborhood that, if there ever has been a neighborhood that needs help in street closures, is this one.
Commissioner Reyes.
Commissioner Carollo, I'm glad that you showed this, and I'm glad that you're asking the city attorney, and I support you 100%, and I want to add to it. You see, I been in contact with the county, and the same example, the same question that you have made, I have made it before. How in the world we cannot close any street when Coral Gables have done it? The answer has been they have done it illegally. And I want to add to what your request or your instructions to the city attorney that we get from the county. And they told me that in order to close a street, you have to go through a process. Well, I'm instructing the city attorney to ask what is the process to close a street. How many streets have been closed in Dade County following that process? How many streets are closed in the county that have not followed that process, therefore that are illegal? And what is the action, the proposed action that is going to take place from them? You see, that if I may add to your request, sir.
Commissioner, I feel that there has been a tremendous bad faith from the county in this. There has been selective enforcement as I've never seen it before, because neither Coral Gables nor any of these other cities, nor in all of our other areas in Miami, has anyone gotten through that process of getting permits for the county to have permanent closures, not temporary like these, that we're allowed.
Yes.
And for the county to take action only on these 4 streets and completely ignored, like everything that I'm showing you here and so much more doesn't exist.
Let's find out.
It's plain wrong, it's hypocritical, and it's discriminatory. Discriminatory against a neighborhood, and frankly, a neighborhood that truly needs it because of real traffic. These closures here, not one of them has or had any kind of major traffic problems before they were closed. They were closed for other reasons, not for traffic.
If I may, I had lived on 7th Street, across from Coral Gables, 7th and 53rd, way before those streets were closed, way before. And it was more because of keeping people outside because of crime than on traffic. They claimed that it was traffic. It's for keeping people outside.
And they have a right to do it.
They have a right to do it.
I'm not saying that they don't.
That's right. But I want to know what makes them different from us.
Well,
Okay, I want to know if they went through the same process that we are. To start with, what is the process? What is the process? Who dictates? I mean, who is which? Because I had conflicting information. And I'm going to have a meeting pretty soon with the mayor about this, because I want to talk about this, because I think, and it is my opinion, that just as you stated, we are taxpayers, we pay county taxes also. And therefore, the county is responsible for maintaining the quality of life of the residents in the city of Miami also.
Yeah, but
so we should either work together or not, and I'm going to meet with the mayor. But one thing that I want to know is, in all those conflicting, because I've been dealing with this since day one that I was sworn in, I want to know who is, what institution or what government is responsible for all the, I would say, roadblocks that they place us when we want to close the street, when we want to place stop signs, when we want to place the light. I mean, is that federal? Is that state? Or it is just the county, the one that they make the decision arbitrarily? I want to know. That's why I'm asking for the process, and I want to clear this up once and for all. So if we're going to, or maybe we can take property of that street. We maintain them. We pave them. We should be able to do with it.
That is correct. These are our streets. We pay for the asphalting of the streets, the maintenance of the streets, and everything else that happens in those streets.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Now,
for bringing this up.
again, on the county ordinance, our position is in the city that we've taken, is that we can do temporary closing like we have. But all these other dozens upon dozens of cities that have full closures, why isn't the county concerned about that? Why is it only this area? And then the worst part is that the same commissioner, and I'm going to call her by her name, Eileen Higgins, she's not happy enough to try to do all this with the county government, and she has been the one that has gone to the mayor, that has gone to Mr. Morales, that has gone to everybody else, no matter how much she wants to say publicly that she doesn't know anything about it or has done anything about it. She has been the one. But her own chief of staff lives in Coral Gate, one area that has numerous, I don't know if it's 7, 8, or 9, street closures. And we didn't get any county permits for that in the city of Miami when they were closed. Not at all. The sad thing is that now they're trying to recruit people from outside of the area to see how they could pretend that they live in the area to speak against it. Now, again, there's not 100% consensus here, nor in anything else. There are a few people that, for whatever the reasons are, they don't want the street closures. You have a gentleman that was very loud, that lives in an apartment building that's not part of the residential neighborhood in the corner, that it's a very large apartment building, I think about 60 or more units, and he drives trucks, he was used to parking his cab on inside the neighborhood, which is illegal. You can't put in a commercial vehicle inside a residential area. I was told by police officers that he had been cited twice already. He's against this. Well, I could understand why. He's got a personal reason. You have another gentleman on 17th Avenue that is against it, but he lives next to commercial property. And somehow, I guess he thinks maybe that if we don't block it, that he can make that into commercial. But the guy doesn't live there, even though he told me he did and wasn't truthful. He lives in another neighborhood, and he's selling that property and selling it as a triplex, not a duplex, which is what it is, on top of it. So there are people that are against this, and others that, frankly, don't have any different reasons, like I mentioned here. They just don't want it, and I respect that. But in America, we respect the opinion of the majority, and the vast majority have asked us that they wanted these street closures. So that's all I have to say, and I thank you for this time. If any one of you want to add to it, feel free to.
But I want to ask you something, Commissioner. Bless you. I want to ask you something, Commissioner. Saying what you can say publicly, walk us through the arrogance of the last week from the county government. From Mr. Morales, walk us through the arrogance of the county government with respect to this issue in the last week from Mr. Morales on down, right? Their imposition on our city and on our residents. Tell us what happened so that the people can know what happened as this moved forward, as they tried to take our barriers down, as we had to send our police department to stop them from trespassing on our citizens' rights. Because you're right, the vast majority, I grew up 6 blocks from this area, as you know. The vast majority of the people in this area want their children to be safe, their pets to be safe. They don't want that cut-through traffic that exists. A small minority, because of political pressures or for political reasons, is opposed to the closures. But the vast majority supports the closures of these 4 roads. Tell us what happened the last week and what the city can do moving forward.
Well, basically what happened last week, the county sent their police uniform. They sent big trucks to take out the temporary barriers that we had. And the manager, when he found out about it, did the right thing. He stopped it from happening. Look, this is amazing that the county would do this. Why didn't they do it here? Why didn't they do it anywhere else in other cities where there are closures with no permits? Only there. Only where Commissioner Higgins doesn't want them.
And this is a life and safety issue for our community, for our citizens, right?
Of course, it's a real safety issue. That's the only reason.
The Coral Gables closures, tell me if I'm wrong, the Coral Gables, the 32 closures that basically closed off Coral Gables was because that affluent community didn't want to have Miamians visit them, right? Or go through their streets. And nobody argued about that. Nobody complained about that, because I'm sure there are major campaign contributors that live there and major people that are influential, right? But this is a life and safety issue for our residents. To get traffic off, people that go off US 1, to get away from US 1 and cut through. Where children are playing. I've seen signs. I go through that neighborhood all the time to visit my parents.
That's exactly.
And the children on bicycles, and it says, drive like you have signs that say, drive like your children live here. And people don't do that. We put speed humps and all kinds of what we can't do legally. Why is it that in this particular neighborhood, the county commissioner and the county government insist that 4 closures for the state that will protect our children and our pets and our residents and our elderly too, because the elderly walk? Why is it that they're hell-bent on not letting this happen?
Commissioner, because they're letting their county commissioner in the area extract her revenge against the city of Miami and the residents of that area that did not support her. And that's totally wrong. As you see here, and look, any city that owns its own streets for whatever reason, that they want to do street closures, that's their business. But I have driven through each one of these areas, and there's not a single site here that had major traffic. You could see it. If they were open, they would not have major traffic. This area here is hundreds of vehicles, hundreds, every day, constantly. Rush hours, they go on for 3 hours, morning, afternoon. You can't cross some of the streets there. So why would they have done this? And that's the point that I'm trying to make and the message that I want to leave this commissioned chambers today. Why didn't they do to all these closures and many others in Miami-Dade County what they try to do to the small, poor area of Silver Bluff? Why?
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any more comments on this item?
Maybe from our city attorney, I think there was a question of where we are in the legal process with the county. And our city manager, I can't see him.
He's out.
He's gone?
Lobby.
Oh, okay. Where we are right now? Where are we?
Right now, after we had the emergency hearing on this past Sunday, the roads remain closed, just with different barriers, which were approved by the county public works person that spoke at the hearing, and the roads remain closed. Going forward, we will have to obviously work with the county on permanent closures. However, at this point, we are appealing one portion of the order, the judge's order that had to do with the abatement and 164 intergovernmental procedures, that we should have been allowed to work with the county and mediate with the county, have a joint meeting with the county in order to address these issues. So we're, right now, anything having to do with the road closures is stayed. So the county should not be able to do anything to those road closures at this time while we appeal that portion of the order.
That's a legal part, if I may, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Manager. So your administration will hold firm, right? These roads remain closed because we're protecting our citizens, right? That's your position.
Yeah, it's been our position all along. We obviously resubmitted documentation that was requested by the county. And as far as we're concerned, until this process has been sort of carried forward to its conclusion, that condition will remain unchanged.
Okay, thank you.
Madam City Attorney, legal question. And our argument was that there were certain processes that should have been followed prior to a hearing, the mediation, et cetera. One of those items is a joint meeting of the commissions. Is that a joint of the full bodies or a quorum or representatives of each commission?
It's literally a commission meeting of the city of Miami with a commission meeting of the county.
Logistically, how does that happen?
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm
I can't
really
wait.
excited about this.
Logistically, so the city of Miami, I think we did this with Key Biscayne, both commissions. We did it at Miami Dade County College, Miami-Dade Community College. We did that in around 2016 when we had the litigation with Key Biscayne over Marine Stadium. And that is the intergovernmental dispute resolution process that you're supposed to first have meetings of the managers. And then if that doesn't work out, you have meetings of the commissions. And if that doesn't work out, then you enter into full-blown mediation. If that doesn't work out, then you go to court.
But in the Key Biscayne case, there was not full commissions present, nor even a quorum. It was simply a representative of the commission.
No, the commissions were there. It
Really?
was two commissions.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Are there any other comments or questions for?
I think, Mr. Chairman, that'll be a fascinating meeting to have.
I'm not sure who would be the chair in that meeting.
Well, you'll be the acting chair, I think, for a while, right?
Well, the county has one too.
Oh, they do, really? I didn't
Well,
know
they
that. But I think it'd be interesting to air it out because I think Commissioner Carollo made a very valid point earlier today when he said that county commissioners that represent only municipal areas, completely, two municipalities, Miami Beach and Miami, for example, and no unincorporated areas, really don't provide much work or much service to those particular areas. It's a city commissioner that do the work, right? In this case, it's you, Commissioner. Carollo, and Miami Beach, the commissioner for Miami Beach. So to me, that kind of imposition of the county's will, the strong arming to the detriment of our residents, it's disturbing, very disturbing. And to have a public conversation about that, which I think, and I thank you, Commissioner Carollo, for bringing this forward today, because you're shining a light on things that really, really matter here. This is a real big issue in this community. I know, because my parents lived there. I grew up there. It's been an issue for a long time. And finally, someone took action. This commission took action a couple months ago, and then we took action, physically took action to close those roads. And some appointed administrator from Miami Beach, or former commissioner, comes on board and says, hey, I'm not going to put up with this, and with sheer arrogance says, we'll do whatever the heck I want to do. You know, send the Public Works Department from Miami Dade there and close it down. And our manager, to your credit, Mr. Manager, with the courage, says, you know what, that's not going to happen. And you went out there, and I saw you on TV and what you did, and that's important. So I think that we continue to bring light to this issue, and we make sure that people understand that the city of Miami, that the city commissioners fight for city of Miami residents. And no outsider can come in and impose their will and their way of thinking in our community. And I thank you, Commissioner, for doing this.
Thank you. But you mentioned arrogance. This is much more than arrogance. This, frankly, is malice. This is done with malice because we were dragged without even being served, with just a few hours' notice to go to court under false pretense to the court. Because if the county, if Commissioner Higgins truly felt that the temporary barricades that we had put, that the whole frontage were skinny plastic cones, only at the ends that we had maybe 3.5, 4 feet of concrete that was about 3 foot high. If they really felt that that was dangerous, it was a life safety issue. Look at these here. Look at these here. Why didn't they drag these ever into court? And then the worst part is where I'm showing the malice. If all they wanted us was to switch the 2 small concrete barriers at the end for plastic one with water, why didn't they ever tell us that? No, they went into court demanding that we take everything down. And they lost. They lost because the judge saw through it. And even in a limited hearing that we had. And I want them to understand that if they want to keep this up, they're going to have to bring in every other street closure in Miami-Dade County, in every city, into it. Because we're not going to be the only small area, because it's poor, because it's weak, that's going to have to close, temporary closings, and dozens upon dozens of others, because frankly they're from more richer, affluent neighborhoods, can do whatever they want. I support that for cities in their streets to do whatever they want. But if the county is going to tell us that we can't protect the safety of our residents, and they're going to give us a lame, frivolous excuse, then they're going to have to use that same excuse to all these street closures and many others in other cities that I haven't shown here today. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
And if I may, Commissioner, I may add, Mr. Chair, the county commissioner from District 7 at the time that this happened was Jimmy Morales. He represented part of Coral Gables. So he was okay with closing Coral Gables streets back then when he was their county commissioner, but he's not okay with closing our streets for the safety of our children and our residents. So that the record is a record. You can't run away from that.
I'm glad you reminded us of that, That's correct. That was, he was elected in
1993, Commissioner.
1993, yeah.
District 7.
No. Was it not? No, it wasn't 93.
93 with my older brother.
No. He was, I first got elected mayor in
You're correct,
96.
you're correct. You're
So it was
97.
after.
Yeah, you're correct.
97.
After Maurice Ferre.
Yeah, I know, because he was one of my creations. I ran his first campaign. Anyway.
But the point is that he was, you're right, I got the date wrong.
Yeah.
But you're right, he was okay with closing down Coral Gables
Yeah.
streets, but not okay with protecting City of Miami residents. And
But-
that, to me,
well-
that's where the arrogance comes in, right?
Again, this is clear, and everybody in the county knows it. He knows it. The mayor knows it, that this has been coming from one commissioner. The same commissioner that has been doing all kinds of things to us with the COVID vaccines that, I don't want to even bring up because, when she's ordering police officers not to allow a city commissioner to go into an area of the city of Miami that we are allowed to, it's to the point that, I've never seen this before happen between the county or any other city. And anyway, thank you for your time, commissioners, Mr. Chair. But this is something that I think we needed to put out. And this is nothing personal against Coral Gables or any other city. They have a right to close their streets. I just wanted to show the hypocrisy and, frankly, the malice that's coming from the county towards the city.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner. That brings PI 6 discussion item to a close. I've been notified by the mayor that he would like to enter